mess in this attic. Lot going on, but there ain't no need to panic. Come on up and join, we getting wild, getting manic. Spitting truth for all you fanatics. Every week got something new to say. Ain't no filter, this shit coming straight from the brain.
It's coming straight from the brain.
Yeah, it's coming straight from the brain.
What's up, everybody? Today is Friday, May 13th. Friday the 13th, 2022. This is a Talk in the Attic, which means, of course, I'm your host, Kirk Ross. And today I'm bringing to you pieces of an interview from an episode of Creative Ops that I was asked to be part of by Christopher Tallon. He's the host of that podcast. Chris is in the process of releasing his first novel. It's called Switchers, and it's a really interesting sci-fi / horror novel. It's set in the 90s in a fictional town near Lansing, Michigan. It's very similar to Lansing, Michigan, and it's really good. And anyway, Chris had the opportunity to self-publish this book. He asked me to help him with the book cover design. I had never done anything like that, but I took the opportunity. And, there's a lot of lessons to be had here. First off, you should be willing to try stuff. I mean, at the end of the day, especially when it's someone like a friend, like Chris is to me, if you take an opportunity to do something, you might find out that you enjoy it. You might find out that you don't enjoy it. And at the end of the day, you've got a friend who will have benefited to some degree from your work. So in this case, I took the opportunity. I thought maybe I would be able to get a proof of concept 90% of the way there, then he could take it to a real designer and finish it off. But we ended up doing it ourselves, and we're really happy with it. I'm going to throw up an image of it on the YouTube video right now. Have a look at the final cover. Pretty spooky. And you'll see a lot of elements in here. You can kind of tell that there's a time warp situation. You can tell that there's two alternate parallel universes, one in which it looks nice and bright and sunny, and the other one in which it looks very ominous and scary. It was super fun. So this is an interview that I stitched together. It was about 65 minutes in length. I got it down to 35 minutes roughly. We have some nonsense in there, but really we focus on the book cover, and we talk a little bit about the book and Chris's process. So I'm bringing that to you now. But before we get into that, let me give you an idea of the kind of activities Chris and I do together. Chris and I like to hang out. We like to jam. He's a creative guy. It's always fun when we get together, but we're both busy. We both have a lot of things going on. So this week, Chris jumped at the opportunity, and he texted me, and he said,
Kirk, I don't know what you're doing this afternoon, but from 3 to 6 at Farmhouse Wellness, the only locally owned pot shop here in Grand Rapids, they're having a big vendor day. Do you want to go?
Well, the reality was I was working, and I had a lot of meetings that afternoon, and, I thought about it, but who doesn't want to miss out on a big vendor day? So I did. I called off the meetings. Chris picked me up, and we went there. The big vendor day, as it turns out, was a sale on vape pens. So they were selling platinum vapes, 6 for $100. So we obliged. I mean, we drove all the way down there. But the joke is that Chris called us away from our work, got us all pumped up, and we went to a big sale together. So on a Tuesday afternoon, everyone should know, if there's a big sale and Chris Tallon's around, he's going to be there. Don't even try and get me to work. It's a big sale. If you are one of those clients of mine who I had to move the meeting for, I moved it for a big sale. And I don't know if Chris just wanted an excuse to hang out or what, but Chris, if that's the case, next time you can just tell me you want to hang out, and you don't have to lie about some big vendor day when it turns out is a sale. Hopefully Chris doesn't ever find out about Art Van, because God knows then we'd be having a big rendezvous every weekend, especially President's Day, which is when, sofa blowout type President's Day. It's what the presidents would want. Maybe you run it through your internal filter. Maybe do a little research next time so you don't send me to a big sale. This conversation you're about to see is a splattering of ADD roulette, where we kind of just bounce around from topic to topic, but it is focused on the book cover. Enjoy it. I'll let you know when the full episode releases on Creative Ops, so you can go support that show. But more than anything, I'll definitely be sharing when the book Switchers is available. Chris is a big part of the show. He's a local author. He did this whole thing himself. And, support this guy. Support anybody that is taking an idea from infancy all the way to actualization. It's pretty cool. It's inspiring to see. Chris, thanks for letting me be part of the book cover. And with that, let's start the show.
Now it's just blurry.
It kind of looks like a hostage video. Beheading.
Oh my God. All right, now I'm going to be thinking about that the whole time. And it's and it's really wrinkly because it sleeps on the floor in a pile when I'm not using it for this. I don't have my hat on, but I wore it all day yesterday.
It's a pretty that's nice. Yeah, thank you.
Yep, I got that on my desk up here.
The white hat is I like it, but man, you really just got to be careful with it. Ugh. Every time I'm around anything that I'm eating, I just take it off.
Oh yeah, I already had a smudge on the brim from me touching something and then grabbing the hat like that.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, small-headed bitches.
As Mitch Hedberg says, you can't please everybody. And last night, all those people were at my show.
For anybody that doesn't know, just talk about some of your creative projects that you do independently of what we're about to talk about.
Okay, yeah. So my primary creative outlet is the podcast, A Talk in the Attic, which I'm wearing the hat and the logo in the back. Chris, of course, you've been on the show several times.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. You always give me a lot of good pub, so I appreciate that. But so, that the podcast, I would say, is really the overarching only creative project I'm really doing. But when you do a podcast that's kind of widespread and focused, the way mine is, some might call that unfocused. I would just say it's a wide focus. But, because of that, I am afforded a lot of opportunities to be involved with kind of random other creative projects. The book cover that we're about to discuss being one of them. That really started from the podcast too. My graphic design background is nil, other than when I was little, I used to play on Microsoft Paint, like probably most everyone else around our age did.
Yeah.
I thought that was so cool. And I used to like to draw when I was little, but really my graphic design has come a long way just purely because of the podcast. It's a one-man show. I like that part of it because it gives me more control. I tend to be domineering in certain atmospheres. So when you're domineering, the best way to do it is on your own, sometimes.
Yeah.
And but because of that, it really made I had to learn how to be better at graphic design. So my graphics look better. I had to learn how to make music so that I could do my own music, because that's something I'm really interested in anyway. But, so if you were to look at everything I do creatively, it really comes down to the podcast. Yeah.
Tell me just kind of like as far as process stuff goes, if you don't mind getting into that kind of part of it, what programs do you use, and maybe like when did you start getting into the computer design stuff, like really putting effort into some of the things that you were making for your show?
Yeah. So, I mean, honestly, I got an opportunity to produce a separate podcast called, at the time, the Irie Lemon podcast, and it eventually became Passion to Profit. And with that job, I got access to Canva, which, as it turns out, is just it's canva.com, Canva. And it's all web-based, like cloud-based stuff. So it's very light on your computer. It does run heavy when you have it open in your Internet Explorer. But basically, that's what it is. I pay for the professional one. I think it's like $50 a year or something. Yeah. And it really gives you a lot of functionality. It's not as you can't get as technical as you could on Photoshop. That's probably my next step that I have to do. But I think for most people to see that book cover that we put together for Switchers, I think most people probably would be surprised that you could do that on Canva. There's as you play with it, I also use a program called Be Funky, which is another web-based, befunky.com. And that I pay a year subscription on that, maybe for $50. And that gives you a lot of some of the shortcomings of Canva, which would be like artistic filters and cartoonizing and things of that nature. Be Funky affords me that, and between those two things, you can get a lot of different looks and tones graphically. I certainly am no expert at it. I think the key thing that I've learned, the key thing that led to me to want to start the podcast, Chris, is kind of like this. I felt like I was missing out on what I really love to do, which is creative stuff, because I was working engineering jobs and sales jobs and things like that. Yeah. And the podcast has taught me, as you've already alluded to, and as I know you've learned this too, is like, if you show a willingness to do things for people and with people, and you have a good attitude about collaborating, things will come your way. Like when you first told me you wanted me to do the book cover, I kind of slow played it, right? I kind of said like, I mean, I can do it. I'm certainly not an expert at it, but I would at least like to do the proof of concept. If you want to, and by the way, this is still true. If you wanted to take that to someone to clean it up graphically, I'm okay with that. I don't have an ego when it comes to that. I think it turned out really well, and you're not going to do that, but that if you're open to things and you're willing to do some work and you're willing to learn along the way, you don't have to have some prestigious background in any of this stuff. I mean, you're an English teacher by profession, English major. And so, writing falls into that, of course, but podcasting doesn't necessarily do that, and so like you stayed open and found new avenues of connection. And ultimately I have so much fun doing the show. I don't generate revenue from it whatsoever. But I used to spend my free time drinking and planning where we're going to drink and when are we going to do this and when are we going to party, I cut that out of my life and it freed up a lot of time. And now I'm just kind of, switch one addiction for another, essentially.
Yeah. A healthy one.
It's more productive. Yeah. I hope so.
Sorry. Am I echoing really bad in your headphones?
What about me? Are you hearing me regular?
Yeah. You sound great.
Okay. That's all that matters, Chris.
Yeah, the people aren't here for me; they're here for you, buddy. Starting from after you were like, "Yeah, let's do this." What was your first thought? Were you like, "Ooh, I don't know, I'll do my best"? Were you pretty excited about it?
No. I think that the only way to be open to new opportunities and all that is you have to believe that you can do it. And more importantly than that, you have to believe that if you can't do it, you're going to figure the F out how to do it.
Right. Right.
So like, I never am afraid to learn. I think for some people can just sit down and learn stuff and remember it or whatever out of passion. But for me, it has to be tied to a project. So like, I've always been interested in the way things look. I've always liked looking at book covers. It's a really cool medium. I've looked at a lot more book covers than I've read. I'll tell you that much.
Yeah, you're not supposed to judge them by the covers, but sometimes it's hard not to.
There's a reason why they have that saying, though. It's because you can get suckered into a bad book with a good cover, right?
That's what I'm hoping.
Well, that's good. Or in this case, maybe an amateur cover and you find a really nice gem inside there. But, so yeah, as soon as you told me, I think I told you I'd have something to you in a week, and I probably had it over to you that night or something.
Yeah,
the first proof of concept. So I really like to jump on things when it's hot. That might be attributed to some coping mechanism around ADD or something. But if I don't jump on it when I'm thinking of it, things, there's a lot of stuff going on here, so it can fall behind. So I was excited for the opportunity. And hopefully, if we end up sharing this on video, Chris, you should maybe show some of the early ones, or in the graphic, show kind of the genesis of where the cover started. In terms of really just basic graphics. Trying to get a layout and a general theme. Now the big.
Because after I saw the proof of concept, I was like, I like where he's going with this. I like where he's going, but I hope he's going somewhere a little deeper.
I even said,
but so far we've got the right idea.
Don't judge this cover by the first draft, as they say.
And as somebody who understands and hopes that people have that same forgiveness when it comes to writing something, the first draft is not the final draft.
Exactly, and that honestly, Chris, if you and I wouldn't have been such. If this was a different opportunity where someone reached out to me and I didn't know them personally, I would have not probably provided that early of a sketch to them, But, but at the same time, there's another lesson there. I hate to be like some sort of lecturer or something, but like the lesson there is, I'm working with you. Who cares? I can be transparent with you. The reality is that first draft, although it looked bad, we generated a ton of progress just from that being able to talk about something. So the lesson there is put something down on paper. It's going to suck. It's the first time. Put it down and talk about it, because otherwise you're thinking about things ethereally, and it's all based on imagination, which is so highly subjective that you're never talking about the same thing. Yeah. So put it down and then talk about it.
Well, and the same kind of thing applies to writing too. They say do global revisions first and then do local. So, don't go at the first time going like, well, the little sentence here, I don't really like the sentence. We're talking big ideas. Do the big ideas work? And if the big ideas work, then it's like, okay, let's tighten down and look at each little thing.
Okay, Chris, you've learned this. We talked about this personally. Like some of my early podcasts, every time I've ever put out a podcast, I've been proud of the episode every time. And almost every time when I go back a few weeks later and listen, I'm not so proud of it. Either because some lesson happened in between there, I got better at something, I changed my I changed something tonally that I like better, whatever. And the point
the voices were too quiet, or the music was out of balance, or something.
You're constantly, if you're, as a creative person, especially as someone trying to do it on your own, you have to self-scout and you have to be critical of yourself. And that's usually not a problem for artists generally, the self-criticism part. But But to the same effect, that's why it's important to do iterative work. You don't wait till the end and put everything in, because guess what? That's going to be your attempt. And then if it's on the deadline, you're never going to have a chance to go back. If you do things iteratively, not only does it make it an easier task to bite off and chew, because you don't have to finish it. You just have to do the first part. And it's kind of like you have to crawl before you can walk, before you can run thing. And it sounds cliche, but it applies to everything. Have you ever heard the analogy of putting big rocks like in a vase or something? You take like a vase and put big rocks in there, and then you put the small rocks, and then you fill it with sand, and then you fill it with water, and that's how you fill up the whole thing. Well, you start, though, by putting the big rocks in there. So to that effect, you start by putting the roughest POS draft that you can out there, and now you're kicking, because now I've got a feedback loop with Chris. Now Chris has something to look at, give me feedback, and then the next time I get it to him, he better be at least 50% happier. And then eventually you get to the point where the guy's 90% happy, and that's probably where it's going to land. 100, 90 to 100, somewhere in there, hopefully.
Yeah. As soon as I saw the first one after the rough sketch, I was like, all right, we're not going to have any awkward conversations. This is going to work.
The first one was like clip art and some pictures and some can't.
But you set it up though. You were like, dude, this is not indicative of what the whole thing is going to look like. I just want to know if you like the general setup. And I was like, yes.
And you have to tell me, and people in the industry that are listening, I don't know what the standard practice is, but I imagine that the book cover artists, the prevalent ones that are probably doing 90% of the book covers out there, there's no way they're reading every book in advance.
No.
But I hadn't read your book, and so we sat down in the attic, the first time, and I think you kind of ran through the high-level plot points and kind of dug into what you think thematically was most important, and we went from there.
Yeah, that's about right. Anything that I thought of where I was like, some of the major visual points to the book would be things like this, and like the back of the book has got the power lines that have been disconnected and are falling over with the planes. That's honestly, just for me, one of my favorite visuals when I think back of the book.
You told me that specifically. I think we added that after the first couple iterations, because you said hey, you got to get this part. Yeah, that's my favorite part of the cover too.
Yeah. So, and it worked out great that, because we were talking about color schemes too. And I think I showed you a couple of horror novels, and one in particular was Gwendy's Button Box for Richard Chizmar fans. And you went with like a different color scheme, but you still got those kind of like dark, gritty, earthy colors, and
kind of
I don't know, man. Yeah, what was it? Did it just seem like these colors worked well? Did you go through several different schemes, or did you kind of have an idea and attacked that right from the go? I
mean, I think I definitely wanted the most ominous. I'm not giving anything away here, but I guess what you'd call the future.
Yeah. No,
it's kind of the past and the future. I don't know what it is exactly.
It's on the back of the book. People know it's time travel. You're not ruining anything.
Okay. But at the same time, it's still hard to describe time travel, because in the book, it's kind of like they're technically going ahead to go back. I don't know. But I definitely wanted a red scheme in there, because I think at the end of the day, you need someone to be able to look at your book. And I'm speaking like I'm an expert. I don't know. This is just me as a shopper. I want to be able to look at a book and generally know, from looking at it, what kind of theme or genre it's going to be. So I think red and black always go good for horror. I mean, it is what it is. I don't know if that's because of blood or what, and then, the fact that the clouds and all of that I tried to make it kind of an orange gaseous kind of look, kind of as if the sun is trying to break through this bomb smoke or whatever it is.
Yeah.
And then, so once I kind of found that scheme, I wanted to show something bright, to show that they were in a regular time, and where the future was bright, not to sound corny, but then of course it was about matching those two, so it didn't look like too harsh. I still really unsaturated a lot of the colors on the right, and made them more of a yellow as opposed to like a heavy green or blue.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm glad you like it though. I think some of the fun stuff.
I showed it to some other writer friends of mine who had suggested, you might try this person or this person. This person's kind of pricey. This person might give you a deal because you're, first time. And then, we talked over and I was like, well, my buddy is at least as artistic and is going to give me a good deal on it. So I thought, all right, you know what? I'm going to give him a shot. And honestly, this doesn't look like a lot of other books. And that was the other thing that I was like, I want give it to somebody who doesn't do this 5 times a week, because, you know, they might, even if they're not working from the same template, you know, you kind of get this look where it's like, oh, that's a such and such. I can tell. People will look at this and they'll go, what the hell is that? You know what I mean?
Dude,
like, it just doesn't look like your average everyday book cover, but in a good way.
Yeah, I think, and the other thing that I kind of wrestled with was the fact that chronologically, if you look at the book, you know, typically we move from left to right chronologically. And it actually, so I like the fact that the future is actually on the left, because it kind of adds to the mystery, or kind of like the confusion about the times.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I don't know if you picked up on that, or if you even agree with that.
I didn't even think about it that deeply. I just keep looking at it and going like, man, you nailed it. Yeah,
we had some issues along the way, though. I don't know how many kids are going to be listening, but one of the spores on the guy hanging in the tree looked like a penis at one point. You know,
yeah, it had a little head on it, and I was like, maybe we can flatten that out a little bit.
Yeah, that was honestly the funniest part about the whole thing is that the final 5 or 6 iterations were all like tiny little things like that, which is good. Yeah. That's kind of how it should work.
Just fixing the rod spore that comes out of the back of it. Where is it? Out of the back of the person's head there.
I think as a podcast that we can share for both of us, some voice acting, and be fun to like actually go through a few chapters or whatever, and you could give that to people for free and get them hooked and have them come back and buy the book, you know?
Yeah, maybe I could write it into like a 30 to 40 minute like teleplay podcast. We could do like a old timey radio. You know,
dude, you know I love old timey accents. Come on,
be like, yeah, we could have the playing in the background. Yeah,
like the Hindenburg. Yeah, I mean, so I think the point is, people just it's fun to be creative, and once you get a little piece of it, it's fun to just try and think of other ways to put your creative energy. It teaches you, even, you know, by the way, the reason I took the book cover is because, okay, worst case, I give Chris something to show a professional person that can do something with it. You know, and in that case, I still learn from it, and I still can apply that to your next book. I'm sure there are going to be several, especially once you get picked up by a major publisher.
We'll see.
You know, so I think, there's no downside. So start with your friends. You know, I wouldn't have wanted to do my first book cover for someone that wasn't a friend. I'll put it that way.
Yeah.
That's honestly what they say for people that are starting just kind of your standard non-creative type business. That's not to say there isn't a lot of creativity required to run a business, but just any basic business, they try to say, like, you know, you got to get your people that are going to be more likely to say yes early. You know, if you can't sell to your family and your friends, then you're not going to be able to sell to some stranger either. So, you know, I think the same applies here.
Yeah. Are you going to do my next book cover too?
Hell yeah.
Because that one will be fun. That one's more like I'm sure it will be. I would almost insist on it. But that one's going to be more like paranormal. So you can do some fun stuff with like someone's like soul like escaping out of their body or something like that kind of thing. Yeah.
I picture very blurry, lots of blur.
Yeah. Blur, lots of like blues and purples and nightimey kind of. Yeah.
Yeah, you're speaking my language here.
Yeah.
So how far along are you on that one?
I've got a few pages written that I haven't typed, and I've got like, I don't know, maybe around 70 or 80 typed pages. So typed pages will be a little bit more than that in a book. I've maybe got close to like 100 book pages.
Is that what it translates to? About you get a little bit more than a regular book cover or book page out of a typewriter page?
Yeah, because it's set differently, and they have it set to like, you know, fill the line too. So there's less words on a line. There's a lot of, you know, margin. Pages where it's just nothing but you know, dialogue. So one sentence, next line, one sentence, next line. So yeah, this thing was like 325, 330 word pages, and it's like 370 novel pages.
Okay. So are you finding, I mean, I'll ask you this in the context of my next book cover will be easier than the first one probably. Are you finding that the second book is coming along easier, the process, or is it like different, or are you having a hard time keeping them straight, like the character? You know what I'm saying?
No, I'm writing more stuff down because it's a little more ambitious as far as like the scope of geographically where they are and what's going on, but there's also a lot more people involved in it too. So
Yeah.
This one was Switches was easy because there's like 8 kids and they're in the woods most of the time. So, you know,
and it was based on a short story you had already kind of had like the overall outline, right?
Yeah.
You know?
Well, I mean, kinda. I had a short story with those characters, but it was going in a totally different direction, and I just reversed course and then realized after 50 pages of writing it out, I was like, okay, this isn't a short story anymore. But the one I'm working on now is the same kind of idea. I had this idea about this girl that had this paranormal kind of power, but then that thing kind of shifted into something else, which kind of moved the story in a different direction, and then I got really going that way. So, but it's like you said, you have an idea, and once you kind of figure out where the bones are, then you build on those.
Yeah, I mean, I wonder, I'm sure for someone like Stephen King or something, it's a little bit different, but like
he writes 7 pages a day every day,
and he has a direct idea every time, you think, or is he adapting big time throughout the
I think by now he probably has most of a book in his head, and maybe changes as he goes, but yeah, I think that guy's pretty mechanical at this point, and that's not a bad thing.
How many?
It's not a bad thing,
right?
50 something, maybe 60 something.
It's just a natural consequence of doing it that often. And
he's done screenplays and teleplays and written a play. He wrote a musical. Well, he co-wrote the musical with I Was Born in a Small Town. What's that guy's name? John Mellencamp.
Yeah.
Him and Mellencamp wrote a play together.
Is it horror?
Yeah.
Is there American rock, like American classic rock in there too?
I haven't seen it. And I haven't heard the music that goes to it.
I can't believe you haven't seen it, Chris. Aren't you a big
it's something that's like fan? The Ghost Boys of Alabama or something like that.
Is it considered cliche that you're a writer and that you look up to Stephen King, or is that just kind of the standard?
I think everybody does. They either look up to him or they hate him, but there's very few that are indifferent to him. So that's, a pretty powerful statement to who he is, I guess. Because some people say, even other writers I've talked to have been like, man, it pisses me off when somebody's like, oh, I hated this part of this book or this. It's like, well, you know what? If somebody's that passionate about something that you did one way or the other,
they should write it. They should write it themselves.
Well, that's a good thing. I think if you're writing and people are reacting, or you're doing anything and people are reacting, as long as, for every one person that's like, this fucking sucks, there's 10 people that are like, hey, this is pretty good, to, hey, this is awesome.
Yeah.
Then that's good. People are seeing it. If people are seeing it, then, you're doing your marketing right.
Of course. Yeah. When I was young, I bought a couple Dean Koontz books. What is in the inside the industry? What do people think of Dean Koontz versus Stephen King?
I don't know if he's got quite the same level of reverence, but he's definitely respected in terms of the books that he sells and the money he makes.
Yeah.
Probably he's probably not on a lot of college professors' must-read lists, but
right. Yeah, dude, it's fun, man. I'm super proud to see that. When we first met, I know you were already done with the book, but it's been not even a year, or maybe it's been just almost about exactly a year. Probably May, I think.
Yeah,
maybe June. But yeah, it's come a long way, and now here we are, dude. I'm so excited for you to get it out, get the thing out.
Started from the bottom, now we're here.
That's right. The whole team effing here, baby.
The whole team. Yeah, man.
That's cool.
It is.
I appreciate you letting me do the cover, man, and that you entrusted me with it. I'm glad it worked out.
And I'm super glad I did too, because like the first Jennifer Susie is the first real guest that I got on my show that wasn't somebody that I knew before I started it.
Yeah.
And she had been a huge help, and she's going to be a part of this whole thing here too. But she saw the cover and immediately was like, that's perfect. Perfect. I was like, yes.
Yeah, because I like that there's some mystery in it. People are going to notice everything on it because nothing's really hidden on it. But it's still it's mysterious until they read it. And every time they read something, they're going to be like, oh, that's why it's there on the cover. I thought that I always like when I see movie posters. I'm a big movie fan. And when you see, whenever I can connect something.
You're supposed to say, I'm a film buff.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
We don't call them movies.
I'm a cinephile. I'll take it even more pretentious.
Oh.
Yeah.
Hold on, put your bow tie on.
I just don't like using anything with the ending the ending file. I almost just did it.
It all sounds negative now.
Yeah, and that goes for petty fours. Have you ever had the little tea cakes, petty fours?
No, I didn't even know
that name. I know, like I don't even like to say the name because I have on accident said the other one. So I'm not sure. I don't know if we necessarily had to broach the pedophilia conversation in this one, but it's good to get it out there. Just watch your kids. People don't trust anyone.
Yeah, that's true story. Teach your kids how to stranger danger, and yeah. Man, we cannot end it on that though. Coming from a couple of kids who were running around in the 90s, our parents had no idea where we were.
As long as we were back by the street lights.
If there was an old person that was like, "You want some ice cream?" We were like, "Sure." We just went into their house.
Yeah, I mean, there's 6 of us. What's he gonna do?
I've done that at least 2 occasions. Just gone into an old person's house with my friends that were just like, "Are you boys hungry?" We're like, "Yeah."
Well, I mean, but at the same time, maybe you had intuition that person was fine.
Yeah. I mean, I guess I figured like if they do something really fucked up, we only live 12 houses away from them.
And not to mention, trauma's good for horror novels, baby.
Yeah. Ooh, speaking of Stephen King, he's got one of the best ones. He saw a friend of his when he was a kid get run over by a train.
There you go. That's probably why he's great at horror. Probably terrifying. So, I just saw on Jeopardy this week that Stephen King like saved someone from like a burning car or something. Do you know about that?
Oh, really? Yeah. No, I'd never heard that one.
The category was something like celebrity heroes or something like that, and it was all every answer was some celebrity that did something. It's all stuff that's kind of related to their craft too. Like I think Bruce Willis like climbed a mountain or climbed like a building or something to save somebody. That kind of stuff.
He walked down broken glass and then kicked somebody out of a window.
Yeah, Christopher Reeves actually flew through the air around the world, reverse time, and stopped the New York.
That was okay. Can we just talk about time travel for a second? That's not how time travel works.
Well, I mean, just because you wrote a novel about time travel doesn't mean you really fully understand the intricacies of something that's still very, unknown.
If anybody comes at me and is like, "I love Superman, but I just found your book unbelievable," I'm going to kick him in the nuts.
What would you say the suspension of disbelief requirement would be on your book? Like on a scale of 1 to 10, 0 being like, realism and 10 being like,
10 being like Star Wars, maybe.
No, I mean, that was like a 2 on my book. No, I'm joking.
Really?
I was thinking more like a Wrinkle in Time. No, Wrinkle in Time is a good one. No, I read that when I was a kid. Do you remember that book?
Yeah, vaguely. I actually remember the movie better than I remember the book because I watched that with my kids not that long ago.
I don't even think we should be filling your listener and viewers' heads with alternative time travel novels to read. So everyone, just if you have the itch, just wait a minute and get switchers and do that. And then if that suits your fancy, then you can go on to some of these other things we're mentioning, including Russian Doll, the Netflix show, which I think is based on a book.
Probably.
But have you seen that?
I saw a couple episodes of the first season. I know they already are into the second one now.
Yeah. The second season's even like a little bit more trippy, but it's pretty cool, kind of heady, parallel universe kind of stuff. It's cool.
Yeah, I might pick that one back up. Right now I'm watching the last couple Grace and Frankie's.
Oh,
Frankie
I haven't
and Grace,
seen that.
With Lily Tomlin
and Jane Fonda.
Is it Martin Sheen? Yeah, Martin Sheen and I can't think of the other guy.
The other guy, it's like 2 wives and 2 husbands, but the wives become lesbians. Is that the storyline?
Other way around. The men become gay and leave their wives, and then the wives move into the summer home that they bought together as couples, which they were always like, "Why did we buy this together?"
Oh, now it makes sense. It's kind of
makes sense. Yeah.
So it's like 30 years from now, it's going to be kind of what Jessica and Rachel are having to pick up the pieces from.
Probably more like 40 years from now, because they're like, I think they're in their 80s.
Well, we're not going to wait till we're 80s to finally express our love for each other, Chris.
Oh, yeah, that's true. We both got long hair and mustaches. Well, I've got more attached to mine, but like we're sensitive dudes. We're creative.
I don't think we're going to be. I don't think
love is a spectrum. I don't know, man.
I am all for it. Hey, by the way, do you want to get yourself a Gold Rush themed mesh tank top? I don't know if you know what I'm talking about yet.
Wait, what?
That means you're not up to date on a Talk in the Attic.
Oh, when did you put out the most recent one?
Wednesday night.
Oh, really? Okay.
No.
Because Regimented Chaos was the last one I listened to.
It was actually Thursday. It was yesterday.
Oh, well, give me a break, man. If I haven't listened to it, give me 48 hours. Jesus.
let me tell you this. I have not listened to all your episodes. I usually try and listen to at least the beginning part, like when they post.
They're not all that good.
No, it has nothing to do with that, Chris. But here's the thing: I don't listen to any podcasts anymore. And in fact, now that I'm like producing music, I don't even really listen to music anymore. Like it's almost like whenever I'm hearing someone else do it, it just makes me want to like, oh, I should be making this. I should be doing this. So it's kind of ruined me being a fan. I don't know.
That's been happening to me. I've noticed that. I'll go on a walk and I'll put on a podcast, and then like 15 minutes into the episode, it just starts going wah 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 wah.
Right, and that's what we have to remember, that we could be.
And they're good podcasts. I'm not shitting and being like, my podcast is so much better than that. Like, it's not that. It's just my mind starts going other places, starts saying like, ooh, if I was talking to this person, I'd be asking them this, or this, or this.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, I'm exactly what you said.
I'm ruined as a fan. Yeah, it's a shame because I really love listening to music, but every time I listen to music now, I'm just like, I should just get my keyboard out and probably just try to make something that sounds like this or something I'm inspired by this or something.
Yeah, it's like going to a restaurant with Gordon Ramsay, and he's just like, well, this is terrible because this, and this. I could have made this better. This is good. Now, the reason this is good is because, like, I'm just trying to eat, bro.
Yeah, we're at Bennigan's, man.
Yeah. There's at least one Bennigan's left that I know of up in Big Rapids. Unless that one closed down, too.
The house that Monte Cristo built? Ooh.
Dude, they had that, but they had another one, too. They had an ahi tuna salad where they would sear an ahi tuna steak, then cut it into strips and just put that on a salad with some some thick Italian dressing. You know what I'm talking about?
Oh yeah.
Oh, that was so good.
Nothing reminds me of old Irish fare like a delicious ahi tuna seared salad. Sláinte
with a side of cabbage
and some buffalo wings.
And some potatoes. I don't know.
Yeah.
Is that racist? Is that racist to say?
I'm pretty sure. Like I said, this happened before. Not to me. I'm Scottish.
Yeah, I'm Italian. Irish and Italian are like two sides of the same coin. Everybody was like, all right, that's enough of you guys.
You both got heavily discriminated against when you moved here, but hey, that's kind of like how we do it here. You know, we haze people for a couple hundred years.
And by we mean my grandparents.
Yeah, the English, the redcoats, the oppressors.
Yeah.
Oh, man. Well, Chris, I'm super pumped. I'm super glad that I came on the show, but also I'm just pumped to see the book come out, and I'm excited to share it for you and tell people about it and all that.
Yeah.
Everyone else do the same, man. Your friend Chris, whether you know him or just listen to him or whatever, think about this. He took an idea and turned it into a real thing, and now he's ready to go on it. It's cool. You got to support it.
I'm thinking of like when Michael kissed Oscar. I did it.
They like me. They really like me. Hey, and if you don't like it for the book, at least get it for that steamy hot cover.
Yeah.
The first ever of potentially future famous book design cover.
Woo!
Maker,
and
book designer, cover designer, whatever. Fuck it.
And if you ever find yourself on YouTube, look up A Talk in the Attic, The Ski Trip, look up A Talk in the Attic, Nunzio's, is it Big Night Out or Night Out?
Big Night Out.
Nunzio's Big Night Out. And were there what other ones did you have some particularly cool if
I
people
really
want to see some of your visual art inspired
I like the ad parodies one too. It's
the ad parodies?
Yeah, I forget what it's called. You'll go to the show notes. Chris will have a link to it down there. But yeah, man, I would appreciate anyone that is willing to go check out the show. And if to give you an idea of what it is, I'm interested in a lot of things. I like to talk, and the only way you're not super annoying when you talk a lot is if you kind of try to learn a lot of shit and listen to people and all that. So that's kind of my passion. So really anybody of any sort of ilk comes on the show and talks, and then my solo shows are kind of just whatever message or creative vibe I'm feeling that day I kind of put out. So, and Chris is always a part of it. Check out Trophy Husbands, of course.
Oh, yeah. We got to put a link to the Trophy Husbands episode.
I mean, we should probably play a quick part of Trophy Husbands right now.
I promise that I'll work hard. I shoveled the snow last week.
Okay.
I swept up once and shit. I did the laundry 2 weeks ago.
2 weeks ago?
Now that I look at it, it's a little bit inequitable.
Yeah, you think?
But you know what? Let's just relax tonight because you just got paid, baby. Our wives got paid. Our wives got paid. Everybody look, our wives got paid. Living it up on a Monday. Living in the studio because our wives got paid. I don't need to go to work today. I'm just living real short-sighted. I'm only worried about the paycheck, baby. That's because my baby's doing it.
Maybe the next time we get together, too, we can Trophy Husband some stuff and then make a Either
I don't know.
either
maybe go on a nationwide tour. I don't know. You would just
dude,
put the words in
that
my
would
mouth
be
there.
that would be so awesome if Trophy Husbands we put out like a full song list and then we end up opening for Mark Rebier on tour.
Oh my God.
That's the dream right there.
Small dreams. Hey, aim high, fly low. See you at the top, baby.
Aim high, fly low. The best way to get where you're going is slowly, Kirk.
My
We'll
uncle
get there.
my late uncle was one of my best buddies. Told me this story once. He said, "Did you ever hear about the old bull and the young bull?"
No.
And there's an old bull and a young bull walking down the top of this hill, and the young bull says, "Hey, Dad, look at that chick down. Look at that female bull down there. Or what is it? What is a female bull called?
Cow.
Okay.
Heifer?
Look at that cow. Yeah. Look at that sweet milk on that. No, the kid goes, "Hey, look at that. Let's go down. Let's run down there and fuck that cow." And the old bull says, "No, son. Let's walk down there and fuck all those cows." I don't know what the message is there, but I thought it was funny.
Yeah.
I think it's to be patient, take your time, better things will happen.
Be patient, take your time, let it come to you, all those kinds of things. Yeah.
Get consent, of course, even in the bull situation.
Get consent. Yeah.
Written-
Although, I mean, if the bulls are in with the cows, that it's for a reason. They all know it.
Well, I mean, that's the thing. Consent is not a big
Although I will say
a big factor in nature. I'm just going to say that.
not always. Not always. The birds, though, if you want to see an excellent display of consent, watch birds, man. The ones that have to build like their little like love dens and then do the feather dances.
For like 6 hours at a time, like 6 hours in a row, they'll do it, and then they'll still choose somebody else. So yeah, I mean that is ultimate consent. That's really what sexual selection is all about, right?
Yeah.
But yeah,
Yeah,
let's talk about working a little bit too hard for some females though. Like you're putting your tail feathers up and doing this perfect dance for 6 hours.
Yeah, that's like, wait, hold on. So we're gonna go to IKEA. I'm gonna put a bunch of shit together. Then I'm gonna break dance, and then we're gonna have sex on the furniture that I built.
There's going to be very little chance of you having sex on that furniture if they see you break dance, Chris. But I mean, unless you're holding back a talent that I don't know about. But nobody wants to see their future mate falling and hurting themselves during a failed attempt at breakdancing.
Dear God, no. Especially at the age. I'm not at the age where I would seriously hurt myself. I'm just at the age where I would pull a muscle and not feel right for a week. And I'm not into that.
Nothing turns off a potential mate like a pulled hamstring during a coffee grinder.
Yeah. Yeah. You go to turn. Oh, man. I sneezed so hard. Now my neck doesn't turn left. Oh, well.
I have a friend who takes a knee. He's like about 50. He's in good shape. Good guy. He good guy, as if this is going to imply that he's not. But this might make him sound like
he's not always a piece of shit, but listen to this.
He takes a knee every time he sneezes. If he's not sitting down, he'll take a knee because his worst back injury he ever had came from sneezing really bad and pulled a bunch of muscles. So
he's got to really bear down and
yeah, he kind of gets his weight off of it and then kind of relaxes it and then sneezes. But sometimes sneezes don't allow for that sort of maneuverability. I don't know. I'm usually they're usually hitting me right when I have to do it. We've covered all the topics, Chris.
That's good. And we should stop now too because I'm thinking of jokes for
future
for the guy who has to kneel when he sneezes, and it's not something that I want to joke about. So we should stop now.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's cancel this show before this guy gets canceled.
And I'll edit out right before I said that.
Yeah, just leave it on the fuck all the bulls on the way down. Fuck all the cows on the way down. Good old fashioned masculine message.
There you go. Thanks for coming on, man.
Thanks for having me, dude. Good luck, buddy. I can't wait. Everyone support this cat.
Support both of us. Woo!